I didn't know. I didn't know that these cherry tomatoes would up my game in soup making. You want to know how they do it? Keep watching. I'm Leona Dooley. Welcome to the kitchen of Ebony, Ivy, and Thyme.
After going to the farmer's market, I thought, well, let me slice up at least one or two of these heirloom tomatoes because they smell wonderful. And I think we'll have some of these with lunch. Also, I picked up just some regular Better Boy tomatoes as well as a couple of green tomatoes because we're going to be making a fried green tomato sandwich. And it's going to be so good. I can't wait. Along with that, I'm also going to put together some roasted tomato soup. And I'm going to be using these little cherry tomatoes that I found at the market as well. So it's going to be a fun day in the kitchen. And you know what? The big guy has been looking for some good southern peaches. So I just laid one of them out because the rest are in the refrigerator. But those peaches are going to go to good use as well. So farmer's market trip done.
Since this is going to be a quick weeknight meal, and I'm really only preparing enough for the big guy and myself, I have about 2 quarts of little cherry tomatoes, and they taste great before I put them on this pan. And just imagine what they're going to be like once I get them on this pan. I'm really quite excited. As you saw, I set the oven. It's on convect bake at 425, and it's nice and hot and ready to go. So we're going to spread these out on this smaller size baking sheet. I have a reusable piece of parchment that's on there, and we're going to get them into the oven. It's going to probably take close to 25 to 30 minutes for these to really start to blister and start to get a little toasty, because that's exactly the flavor we're going for, nice and smoky. Now, once we take these out of the oven, then we're going to have to let them sit for about 15 minutes to cool, because what we want to really do is to put them into a blender. And I'm going to be using my NutriBullet. We're going to blend them smoothly. I'm going to add some other goodies, and then we're going to place them into a Dutch oven and complete the cooking process. In my NutriBullet, I've added about half an onion. I'm also going to add all of these cherry tomatoes, including the juice. So we're going to take our time, get those in, and they've had just enough time. They're still a little warm, but they're not hot. So we're going to place those in. We've got to season them up. I'm going to add some house seasoning. I'm going to add some no salt seasoning, as well as a pinch of salt, because tomatoes have a tendency to need just that touch of salt. So we're going to do that. I'm also going to put in half a can of little petite diced tomatoes. You could use crushed tomatoes, whichever, but I'm going to add about a cup of those to this mixture, and we're going to blend it. Now, once it's blended, we'll pour it into the Dutch oven, and then we'll be ready to put it into the onto the fire of the stove and let it cook. We're going to add a container of veggie broth, so our veggie stock, whichever you have, and let all of that simmer. Once it comes to a little bubble, just a light bubble, we don't want it to boil hard, but we're going to let it start to bubble. Then we're going to add in 1 cup of almond milk. We're focused today on the tomato, and there's a reason for that. First of all, the tomato has numerous health benefits due to their rich nutrient profile, and we're going to talk about a few of those benefits of eating tomatoes. Tomatoes are an excellent source of vitamin A, C, and K, as well as it has potassium and folate, and they also contain lots of antioxidants, including lycopene. The lycopene found in tomatoes is known to reduce certain kinds of cancer, particularly prostate cancer, and it's also helpful to protect against heart disease. The potassium and the vitamin C in tomatoes contribute to heart health. Potassium helps to regulate the blood pressure, and vitamin C supports the health of blood vessels. All of us want beautiful skin, and the vitamins and antioxidants in tomatoes can help maintain that healthy skin. Now, lycopene is believed to protect against sunburn and improve skin texture. Now, let me just say here, lycopene is great, but sunscreen works. For those of us who are a little more seasoned, we might have some issues with our bone health. And tomatoes contain vitamin K and calcium, which are essential for maintaining strong and healthy bones. We've all talked about the gut. And it's so important. The high fiber content that we receive from the tomatoes that we eat aids in digestion and can prevent constipation. We all love the fact that tomatoes are low in calories and high in water content, which makes them a great food for weight management. It helps you feel full without consuming a lot of calories. Try your best to incorporate tomatoes into your diet because they're going to provide all of these great benefits and they're going to contribute to your overall health and well-being. Now, you know that tomatoes don't come seasoned. So because of that, we have added all kinds of good seasonings to this tomato soup. And one of the things that we haven't added is salt. And, normally I steer away from salt, but it's going to need just a tiny bit of salt, about a half teaspoon. One other thing this soup might need is a little dash of Frank's Red hot sauce. And that's a personal thing. You can take it or leave it, but I'd like a few dashes in my tomato soup. We're going to let this simmer for just a little while because we need all of these flavors to come together. And then we're going to add the creaminess to the soup. And today we're going to be using a cup of almond milk. Be sure to check your soup often because it will need to be stirred. And even in a no-stick pan, check the bottom of the pan. Make sure that the spoon that you're using, preferably a wooden spoon, is touching the bottom of the pan and keeping any stickies off the bottom. I am such a fan of fried green tomatoes. And I thought, now that I'm doing weeknight vegan meals, then I need to work out a fried green tomato sandwich, because that would include a whole grain bread, that would include lots of veggies, and I'm not quite sure what I'll put on the side. It may be that delicious soup that we just prepared, or it may be something else. So let's get to it. I'm going to start with the coating. I want that to be gluten-free, and so there's some tweaks that I'm going to need to make, some changes that I will also add. And of course, as you know, the recipe will be down in the description box and at the end of this video. So sit right there. All right, so let's put this mix together. Eventually, I'm doing it in a big mixing bowl, because I will eventually pour it into this plastic bag, so that I can just kind of dip the tomatoes in there and eliminate a lot of mess. So I need a large spoon. Got that. And I have Bob's Red Mill gluten-free cornbread mix. So that's where I'm going to start. Now you know, and I know that we're going to have to kick this up a notch. And it's pretty quiet around here right now. But if it gets noisy, then I'll let you know. All right, so the first thing we're going to do is that I'm going to add, here's a couple of heaping teaspoons. I'm going to do 3 heaping teaspoons of Bob's Red Mill. Now, I've written my normal mix out, which is I need some house seasoning, which is onion powder, garlic powder, and black pepper. So I'm going to put 2 of those in. 1, 2. And yes, I know you're thinking, ooh, that's going to be a lot. But remember, this is for quite a few pieces of tomato. And I need some smoky paprika. You know, gotta have, I'm a southern girl, gotta have our paprika, because that's going to give us a nice, beautiful color. And I need a little touch of red pepper. I was so sure I had some cayenne, but I didn't. So what I decided to do is that I'm just going to take, because if we were frying fish, we'd probably add a little bit of cayenne. So this has a little touch of heat to it. So I'm going to add a little bit of obey, about a teaspoon and a half of obey. So I'm going to give all of this a good mix. Oh, yeah. Now that's the fragrance that I want right there. Right there. That's it. Now, because this is a mix, it already has its baking powder in it, its baking soda in it. And in fact, if you wanted to, you could add an extra pinch of baking soda into this, but it's already there. Now, so I'm going to take all of this and pour it into my Ziploc bag. So that's going to be ready when I'm ready to prepare the tomatoes. All right, so that part's done. The next thing we need to make is the remoulade sauce, which is going to be very quickly. So let me make sure I label this so the big guy won't think it's something else and walk off with it. This is our green tomato coating mix.
Okay. All right, so we've got that done. We have our green tomato coating mix taken care of. I'm going to set that back at the back. And I'm just going to wipe this bowl out. And then we're going to make the sauce that we're going to drizzle inside of the sandwiches. Or we may even decide to do it open face. We'll see. I have just a little bit of mix still left in this container, so I want to store it better, more efficiently. So I'm going to add this inside of my jar. I'm going to cut the label because we have to know what it is. And I want to keep the cornbread recipe, even though I kind of usually make it my own, but I like to keep theirs as well. So I have all of this. Now, okay, I'll turn it on its side. I'm going to put it right there and put the recipe on the back. Now, I use boxing tape for everything, and I like to use boxing tape on my jars because it keeps whatever the labels are waterproof. And it takes just a minute to find the start again. There we go. And I better get one more while I'm at it. There we go. Now, I'm going to take this one and put it there. Okay, flip it over to the back where I want my cornbread mix. Right there, where he's in place. And make sure that I got this covered up well. I'm going to put a third piece right in the middle, so that when I wash this bottle, none of this will come loose. Okay, so there's our bottle for our Bob's Red Mill, along with the recipe on the back. That way, when I open this, I know exactly what I need to do. And our mixing bowl, we're going to place first some plant-based mayo. Put a good heaping scoop, because that'll be more than enough for what we need. I'm going to add some pickle relish, and I'm going to add a swizzle of that. And this is one of those loose recipes that you can add and take away. All right, now Worcestershire sauce, several dashes. You could even throw in a little bit of Frank's hot sauce. Okay, I'm going to add a dash of mustard and some house seasoning to this. All right, I've got my Dijon mustard. Put about a teaspoon of Dijon. Definitely your remoulade sauce you want to make in advance, because it's going to give all the flavors a chance to marry, and that's always a good thing. Next, we're going to add in some house seasoning. I'd say about a half teaspoon of house seasoning. Just kind of dust it across the top. I'm getting low. I think I'm going to have to buy some more, get some more, make some more anyway. All right. Mustard, check. Pickle relish, check. Worcestershire, we've done. And we have plenty of mayo. And that's plant-based. All of these are vegan friendly. Let me get a spatula and take all of this off the spoon. Give it a taste. Oh, that's going to be good. Yum. Now, another stir. Now, I'm going to put all of this in a nice jar that I can sit into the refrigerator. And when it's time to drizzle this onto our open face sandwich, we'll be ready to go. Now, I'm going to be using Ezekiel bread. And if you don't have Ezekiel bread, you might decide to use whatever gluten-free bread that you like. Or if you're not gluten intolerant, then you may opt for just a regular whole wheat bread. Whichever the case may be, that's up to you. But we're going to stick with the gluten-free and plant-based. Now, let's see if we can get all of this into our container. I'm sure we can. And you know, if you think you may have more people than what you have, you can certainly add extra of these ingredients. You can make it to whatever level that you need. There we go. All of that's in the jar. And you can use this on other sandwiches. This just happens to be what we're doing today. Yum. Okay, got our top. Since this is a temporary sauce for this jar, I'm just going to use my white paint pen and put an R. Sometimes it's a little difficult and doesn't always want to show up. So I have my sauce listed there temporarily. I have my green tomatoes ready to go. And tonight's dinner is going to come together very quickly. Aren't those tomatoes pretty? This one's trying to turn quickly. And I've temporarily painted my jar so that I know what it is. Hopefully it will dry quickly enough so that it won't all drip away. Don't you love those pens? You just never know what they're going to do. It's almost dinner time, so I'm going to start to coat those tomatoes. And I'm actually going to coat them twice.
I'm going to coat them the first time, let them sit a couple of minutes, and then put them back into the coating mix. Then we're going to take our bread, and I've found the top of a glass that is just the perfect size for these tomatoes. And I'm going to cut the bread into circles. And I decided to make little Sammies. And what that means is that we're going to have one layer of bread, lots of lettuce, tomato, and going to have the remoulade that's going to be on top. While the tomatoes are frying, I thought, well, let me stick these little pieces of bread into the oven and let them toast up just a bit on both sides. And that way they'll be substantial and able to hold the weight of the tomatoes. When you fry up these tomatoes, you're looking for golden brown and delicious. GBD. Golden brown and delicious. The lettuce leaves are in place and just waiting for the fried green tomato to go on top. The reason for putting the lettuce in between the fried green tomato and the bread is because we don't want any of the juiciness of those tomatoes to go straight to the bread and make it soggy. Dinner is going to be delicious tonight. Absolutely amazing with these fried green tomato sandwiches, as well as a side of roasted cherry tomato soup. It's going to be good, guys. Now, your recipe is coming, and I want you to think about preparing this for your family, because they are, hear me, they are good, both of them, and you won't want to miss a bit. Now, I hope you've enjoyed being in the kitchen today, because I've certainly enjoyed having you here. And you know what? We always have a great time right here, cooking and chatting and having fun. Now, what are you preparing this summer? Tell me in the description box, because all of us need some additional dishes that we want to prepare for dinner. So, have fun, have a blessed time, and I'll see you soon in the kitchen of Ebony, Ivy, and Thyme.